What should you not do if you win the lottery? Story 1. My uncle won $9 million from the lottery. He bought a large piece of land in Amish country, built a mansion on it, bought a bunch of toys, boats, ads, etc., and adopted a kid. A bunch of my extended family moved to where he lived in Maine and began asking him for money. 2 years later, he ran out of money, divorced his spouse, and pawned the kid off to my mother who, out of love and pity, raised him. So don't do any of that, I guess. I always tell myself if I win a chunk this huge that I'm investing 90% of it and just living off the interest. Unfortunately, most winners think that they will never run dry, and they don't keep up with their expenses. It's sad that someone could end up in a worse situation after winning hundreds of millions, but it happens. If he didn't buy anything and invested that $9 million, he could have easily had an annual return of $450,000 for life. Stupid. So often people win the lottery and feel that it's a bottomless pit of endless money. Unlike most rich millionaires, you don't have a revenue stream, you have a lump sum. They have a business set up that they continually get new money. So unless you invest heavily and live off dividends and interest, you'll run out of money if you spend it like a madman. A lady in Toronto many years ago won $7 million. She and her husband were poor, a real rags to riches. They had lavish parties with all their friends, bought expensive memorabilia, a big house, expensive furniture, cars, etc. In 7 years, they were flat broke and the husband was working 2 jobs. $7 million could have lasted them to the end of their days. It lasted 7 years. They blew $1 million a year on average. Saw an interview a few years back where a reporter interviewed a guy who won like $10 mil or something. He explained that he is still frugal. Lives in a modest home, not some mansion, owns 1 car, not a dozen, and manages his money. He has a budget and he doesn't go over that. He said he doesn't need to work anymore, but that doesn't mean he doesn't need to manage his money right. That dude has it figured out. Story 2. Go to a casino and blow all the money away. A man wakes up one day and hears a faint voice in his head. It says over and over, "Quit your job." He ignores it at first, but the next day it comes back louder. He tries to power through for a week, but it is driving him crazy. Quit your job. Quit your job. Quit your job. He sees a few doctors, but they can't figure out what it is. After a month, he can't take it anymore. He finally walks into his boss's office and quits. As soon as he does so, the voice disappears. Relieved, he goes home. The next day he hears the voice again. "Divorce your wife. She is cheating on you." He does some investigating and finds out that the voice was correct. After finalizing the divorce, the voice immediately says, "Sell your house. Sell your house. Sell your house." Realizing he can't do anything to get rid of it, he puts his house on the market and sells it shortly after. "Go to the bank. Get out all of your money," says the voice immediately afterward. At this point, the man has no idea what is happening but doesn't want to be driven absolutely crazy, so he goes to the bank and gets all of his money in cash. "Go to the airport. Buy a plane ticket for flight 739 to Las Vegas," says the voice. He goes to the airport and sure enough, there is a plane leaving in 30 minutes. Flight 739 to Las Vegas. He buys a ticket, with his only luggage being his entire accumulated wealth in a suitcase. As soon as he lands in Vegas, he hears the voice say, "Go to Caesar's Palace Casino." He hails a taxi and goes to the casino. Upon entering, the voice says, "Go to roulette table number 28. Forward 32 paces, then to the left another 23 paces. The man takes the steps and can't believe that he finds himself exactly at roulette table number 28. "Put all of your money on red," says the voice. The man can hardly contain his excitement. Everything the voice has told him has been correct at this point. Convinced he is about to double his entire net worth, the man places a bet for all of his money on red. The ball spins around and around the table until finally it comes to a rest on black. The man loses everything. "My grandpa won like $10,000 from the Florida State Lottery once and immediately blew it all on poker." Story 3. Spend it all on lottery tickets to try and win more. I vaguely recall a guy who made money selling books on how to win the lottery. This was made possible by the fact he won multiple times. I'm guessing he spent more money than he won on lottery tickets, but he likely came out ahead anyway. Story 4. Do not go public with it and have an attorney set up something for your winnings where people won't know about it. You'll have people coming out of the woodwork for a handout otherwise. First thing you do when you win is call everyone you know and ask them if you can borrow a decent sum of money that you are pretty sure they can afford but would sting a bit. Story 5. All the stories of lottery winners being driven to madness by people asking for handouts sound so weird to me. Maybe I'm just wrong and I would also crumple in that situation, but I really feel like it wouldn't bother me all that much. At worst I would take my husband with me, maybe my immediate family, and move to an area where nobody knows us. But I don't think even that would be necessary. I mean, how hard can it be to tell everyone to stick it? People harassing you for money? Call the cops or hire security and make it extremely clear that you'll sooner be dead than giving them a single cent. Never keep insane amounts of cash on your person so thieves have no reason to rob you, and avoid showing off your wealth. If relatives or friends try to get money out of you, besides whatever amount you may have chosen to give them to begin with, immediately cut ties and tell them charges will be pressed if they ever try to contact you again. I would really have no qualm getting rid of all that bullshit in my life, rather than letting myself be harassed by everyone. Story 6. Sign your name. If you want to open a trust, you need to make the trust and then have the trust sign it. This can then protect your identity because most states require you to publish your name. I've been told that you form 2 trusts. The first trust accepts the money. However, they have to disclose who the money then goes to. So you form a second trust. On paper, this is who the first trust gives the money to. Then you're free to access the second trust however you have it set up, and that trust does not have to publicly disclose who is receiving the money. Or change your name to something incredibly common before claiming the ticket. Wear a fake beard, glasses, and a hat. Use a P.O. box. Do not buy AM-1A2 Abrams tank and use it as your daily commuter vehicle with the thought that it would prevent tailgating and or people cutting you off on the highway, because that's my idea. I feel like a vehicle that measures gas usage in gallons per mile instead of the traditional miles per gallon might not be the best use of money. Story 7. First, you should make sure that you've actually won. I just was at the gas station and was sure I'd won $4. Turns out I only won $2. Big letdown. I have a great story about this that a coworker told me. At her previous job, there was this older guy that was a bit of a crank. One day, he gets a call from his wife. She said that they won the lottery. He asks her to check the numbers. She does. He asks her to check it again. She does. They match. The guy won a big jackpot, $20 million or something. He's cheering, bragging, whooping it up, saying he's a millionaire now. He walks into his boss' office and tells his boss he quits, he's rich now, so they can take his stupid job. Because they're all a bunch of slave-driving arrogants. And so on and so forth. He marches out of there, head held high. He just lived the dream. Millionaire, and got to tell his boss off and give the company the big middle finger. He gets home, and the wife shows him the ticket. Sure enough, all numbers match. Awesome. So the next day they take a trip down to the lottery office. They declare that they are winners, and submit the ticket to be verified. The person looks at the ticket and says, sorry, this isn't a ticket. What do you mean it's not a ticket, they ask. This is just the winning lottery numbers that are printed by one of our kiosks. I'm not sure how it works in other places. In Ontario, each time there is a draw, lottery kiosks will print off several copies of the winning numbers on the same paper as lottery tickets. Those winner slips just sit nearby, and anyone can come by, grab one, and take them home to check numbers. These are a bit obsolete now with the internet, etc. Presumably, the wife grabbed one of these, brought it home, somehow confused it with her lottery tickets, and then thought they had won. So after he had burned all his bridges, this guy had to crawl back a day or two later to his office and ask for his job back, which he was refused. Moral of the story, everyone says if I won the lottery, I'd quit my job and tell my boss off. No. Don't do that, that's stupid. Best scenario is to keep your job. Wait for the money to be in your account, and everything is settled and arranged properly, then quit your job, and do it in a nice way. You never know if you have to recommend a friend or family member to that company for a job. No joke, this summer a friend bought a scratcher and she misread the rules wrong. She scratches off a path and thinks she's won like $20,000. Granted, that's not retirement, but she came into work and spent all day buying new everything online, TV, game console for her BF, phone, etc. Literally watched her pile all this bunch in her Amazon and check out and spent like $3,000 she didn't have. Someone came up and looked at her ticket and was like, "Yo, you read this wrong, you didn't win, my friend." After it was confirmed, she bolted back to her desk and tried to stop all that Amazon stuff. She looked super foolish. Story 8. Do not fill a swimming pool with gold coins and gems and try to swim around in it Scrooge McDuck style. Best case, you're just going to roll around on a big pile of coins. Worst case involves a diving board and broken skeleton. I would have no problem not telling anyone. I'm a private person as is, and I'm not someone who likes to have attention. Keeping my spouse reined in is a whole other story. She would have an incredibly difficult time keeping quiet. I would go out of my way to not tell anyone for a long time, possibly even years if I was able to pull it off, but realistically I don't think that's possible with a large jackpot. You're going to make major life changes. Even if you are someone who isn't flashy, it's going to be hard to not raise suspicion. With a jackpot as large as the current one is, it will not be possible to keep your life as it is. That is a level of money that will require you to relocate in a major way, likely multiple times over the next few years. I actually feel like that type of money could possibly require you to change personal details about yourself. I just don't think you could escape the constant outside pressure otherwise. You would also have to be prepared to permanently destroy multiple relationships in your life. Money brings out the worst in people. Family you are close with, friends, and former coworkers are going to look at you differently. There's going to be jealousy, resentment, and anger directed towards you. I almost feel like you would have to essentially start your life over. Most importantly, post on Reddit asking for advice about what to not do.